jury. You've got to find some common ground, right? Well, Mike Whalen, who is the defense counsel in the Robin Howington case, may not look like a mom, but he's got to make the jury believe that his client mom was doing just what she needed to do as a mother to protect her son, the 2-year-old who she says killed her 5-year-old. Let's go back for more of that closing argument.
In reality, she's not thinking that Callie Mook had it 2 days ago, and I don't know where he put it. I just assume it's where I keep it. Not the right assumption, but under the circumstances, understandable. If you want to understand it, if you believe accidents are possible, or if you don't, you just think that everything should be a murder. It's got to be a murder, and there's got to be a motive, then sure, prosecute Ms. Howington for that. But that's not the facts of this case. They didn't tell her, they didn't make her throw Antoine under the bus, as she said. By God, they did. There's Mr. Wardlaw right there. What did he say to her? I'm going to shoot you straight. I think it was bad. I think he was upset that you were with Callie, the whole situation, and he came in and he shot her. And then the hammer spoke up. And he says, I think so too. He hit the nail right on the head. You can't ask for a better sentence than he hit the nail right on the head, because he's the hammer. He doesn't believe that every homicide's not a murder. It's got to be a murder. And he's running around hitting the microphone because that's a nail. Hitting the lights, those are nails. To a hammer, everything's a nail. And that explains his discussion with Ms. Howington. No, you're not a grieving mother. No, you're not a rape victim. No, you're not a sufferer of PTSD. You're a liar. And fibbers are always fibbers. Well, what did these two gentlemen tell her? She's explaining to them how Gavin could have gotten his gun and how he shot his sister. Ma'am, that's not possible. That child couldn't pull the trigger. That's not true. It didn't happen. It's not possible. Now, think about this for a minute. Ms. Howington knows what happened. She knows Gavin pulled the trigger. And she's got two professional investigators telling her, not physically possible, it didn't happen. That's going to be hard for anybody to say, I know what I know. Why are you telling me that's not possible? Well, compound that with a person who has PTSD, is medicated for PTSD, and has just been yelled, screamed at by an insane police officer who's telling her she has no soul and no heart. Were they lying? Because the TBI expert said, yeah, there's a study that was done, and 3 and 4-year-olds, 25% of them, can pull the trigger on a gun with 10 pounds of trigger pull. Now, I know I'm in big trouble because Gavin's not 3. That's the youngest study they did, 3 and 4-year-olds. Gavin is not 3. Gavin is 2.5. And this is a 5-pound trigger pull gun. And he said, as to this gun, in this case, it is possible for him to have pulled that trigger. So, they lied to her. Well, wait a minute, Mr. Whalen, that's not fair. Maybe they didn't know at the time. Maybe that's really the strongly held belief. How come she doesn't get that same break? How come she can't be confused? How come she has to get all of it correct the first time around, 40 minutes after being told her child is dead? And then for 4 hours into the night, into the wee hours of the morning, she's got to have it right. They wouldn't even have talked to the cops at that point. If it had been a police officer shooting, they wouldn't even have talked to him yet. We're still within 12 hours. He said, what about the first 48 hours? No, it's very important investigation. first 48 minutes. It's not when it's a cop involved shooting. And then.
So, counsel, circling back to that whole, 40 minutes after this happened, they've got her in the interrogation room, light bulb shining on her. But I want to talk about the physical, this superhuman 2-year-old. Catherine Lizardo is here, Philip Hamilton here in studio. Catherine, now we're talking about the trigger pull. Let's assume that this child was able to, move the furniture, get up, get the gun. Now they're saying, and the defense is saying, look, there's a study that a 3-year-old can handle a 10-pound trigger pull. This is 5-pound, but Gavin's only 2. So you could interpolate, okay, that probably makes that logical, but you have to get the gun in the kid's hand before you believe that story. So what's your take?
Exactly. I like how this defense attorney actually faced off with the hard truth that, okay, the study was for a 3-year-old, and he even admitted, yes, I'm in trouble because Gavin is a 2.5-year-old, so he's not 3, obviously. And then he explained that that expert said that it's possible for a 2.5-year-old to be able to pull a 5-pound trigger. But that's not the study that they're talking about, the scientific evidence. It sounds like an anomaly as to one person being able to do it. Now, again, it doesn't necessarily mean that Gavin could not do it, but a reasonable person will believe that, yes, a 2.5-year-old would have to be superhuman, like you said, to be able to do that. And one of the theories she had, or the stories she had that changed, is that the gun was in her purse. So at some point, Gavin would have to have crawled or walked. I don't know if Gavin can properly walk at that time, to get her gun inside her purse and then walk back to where Destiny was and shoot his sister. That seems very far-fetched for me.
Yep, and Philip, you still got to believe that that all of this is being done, that your mom's doing this to protect the little one for what he did to the slightly less little one. Is that possible?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, a lot of times you're swimming upstream, Michael. This is like a part of that swim, and the current's
Okay, so let me ask you this. We're 21 minutes into jury deliberation here. There's a lot of things they've got to sift through.
Right.
That may take more time than actually deciding whether she's guilty or not of these different charges, just going through them.
No, very good point. There's a lot to sift through. The changes in the story, the reasonableness with respect to, could Gavin do this and then go and do that? Could he find it here? Could he climb up to the top of the closet? You're absolutely right. But look, let's just give the defense a lot of credit, right? They're doing their job. They've thrown a lot of mud. They've slung it all over the place. And that's what you want the jury doing. You don't want them coming back in 11 minutes with a guilty verdict, right? You want them sifting through all of this.
Yep. And I do think that even in the defense closing, they tossed in the, aggravated child neglect with the kid getting the gun. They almost said, get her on that.
Eat the charge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's take a break. We'll come back more out of Tennessee as the jury is deliberating the fate of Robin Howington. We'll be right back.